The de Havilland Vampire. This is an aircraft that had a profound impact on the evolution of all jet aircraft. It had a sprawling service record, with numerous countries spanning decades. For many nations, it was the first jet aircraft flown by their air forces. Over 3,200 Vampires were built in the UK, and over 1,000 abroad, and the aircraft set many records and firsts for jet power, making it one of the most impactful designs to kickstart the jet age. First flight of the prototype Vampire was on September 20th, 1943, 6 months after the other British World War II jet fighter, the Gloucester Meteor, took flight. The first flight was a success, testing showing some directional instability, but this was corrected through changes to the tail design. Wartime orders were made for 300 aircraft, but due to wartime limitations on the number of aircraft that could be built in Britain at any one time, only 6 were built by the end of the war. De Havilland simply did not have the resources to build the aircraft, and English Electric Aircraft undertook production. After the war, the RAF still saw great value in the Vampire, and adopted it as a replacement for wartime piston engine aircraft. Though the Vampire didn't fight during the war, it did set several wartime records. The Vampire was the first RAF fighter to exceed 500 miles per hour. On December 3, 1945, a Sea Vampire piloted by Captain Eric Brown became the first jet aircraft to land and take off from an aircraft carrier. Had the war gone on for another year, the Vampire would have certainly seen much action as an interceptor. On June 8, 1946, the Vampire was introduced to the British public during a flyover at Victory Day celebrations. In March of 1948, John Cunningham achieved a new world altitude record, flying a modified Mark I Vampire, reaching 59,446 feet. In July of 1948, 6 Vampires of No. 54 Squadron RAF became the first jet aircraft to fly across the Atlantic Ocean, flying from Scotland to Iceland to Canada, after which they flew in the RAF's annual Goodwill Tour of Canada and the US. The Vampire was the first mass-produced jet fighter with a single jet engine. It was throughout its lifetime a relatively simple and cost-effective design. Though a twin-boom design was not common for aircraft used during World War II, it was a practical solution for accommodating a single de Havilland Goblin turbojet engine. These engines were extremely low-powered compared to modern jet engines. The Goblin engine produced just over 3,000 pounds of thrust. Many modern jet fighters produce over 20,000. As such, the engine required a short jet pipe to maximize thrust and minimize power loss from friction and turbulence. The twin booms allowed for the pilot to sit far forward in a streamlined cockpit, with the horizontal stabilizers mounted between the booms, providing a stable platform and excellent visibility. The aircraft has one of the most distinct looks of anything flying. The Mexican Air Force, which flew several Vampires starting in 1961, likely gave the Vampire its best nickname, the Avocado, due to its shape. Overall, 32 different countries flew the Vampire, with countries like Italy and France producing their own variants under license. Due to the early acquisition of Vampires across the globe at the start of the jet age and the start of the Cold War, Vampire saw significant use in many small and large-scale engagements. Not only did de Havilland sell Vampires to many countries, as wealthier countries upgraded their jet aircraft, used Vampires were often sold on to poorer nations. The Vampire was first used in combat during the Malayan Emergency, which began in 1948. It was an effective ground attack aircraft. A Goblin-powered Vampire could be armed with 4 20mm cannons, carry 500-pound bombs, or more commonly equip rockets and rocket pods. In Egypt in 1955, British engineering would face off against British engineering. Egyptian Vampires clashed with Israeli Meteor jets, with 2 Vampires shot down. The Egyptians starting the following year would primarily use the Vampires for the ground attack role against Israeli forces. In 1959, in the Dominican Republic, Vampires flew against Cuban revolutionaries, attempting amphibious landings. The Vampire last saw significant action in 1965 during the Indo-Pakistani War, flown by the Indian Air Force. They performed ground support missions but were easy targets for more advanced F-86 Sabres. The Swiss Air Force was the last Air Force to fly the Vampire, retiring the aircraft as a trainer in 1990. Alright, I'm Johnny. Thanks for watching this video on a vampire powered by a goblin. Anyway, if you are a fan of the video, do like and subscribe and all that stuff. But most importantly, do take care and have a nice rest of your day.